Welcome back to Sambo Stompmas, and in this video we are going to be customizing this silo, just a standard Ertl one. So you can see you have the basic tan and whitish creamy color for the top, and obviously the tan's the sides. So just going around, you have some seams, you have some ladder detail, the line detail of the wires that would hold it together, and then the spouts for everything else. You have a door up there too, and this, what I'm pointing to, that spout kind of thing, it needs to be painted the same tan color. So let's start taking it apart and get into it. So just to take a closer look here, you have the door detail, the ladder detail like I was talking about, and the individual cement brick detail that we can't do too much with. So we're just going to kind of paint over it and leave it be. There's also another ladder in the back. I'll end up accidentally painting that one. It's kind of goofy. So just to look inside, you can see there's just some pieces that hold it together, and that's what we'll need to do to pry it apart. So this infill pipe will just snap right out of there. There's 3 little tabs that hold it in, and then this larger one will come out as well, just with a tug. You'll have to pull on the sides to get your last 3 pieces apart, and you'll be rocking and rolling. So you can see that these pieces here have a decent color, but it's not quite right. I wanted to go more for a cement color, and obviously plastic's not as good as paint, even though cement's not paint. So what I did was I got a can of paint at the hardware store, and I set it in front of the wood stove. This warms it up, and when things get warm, it goes together, which makes it go on smoother. So I just got a cheap bottle of whatever, it's satin. It's called a premium care, and it's almond color. That's all you really need to know. It's just as long as it's a cementy kind of color. So I just shook that up and gave it a quick spray on the whole way around. I have this little cardboard spray booth that I put it in, and you want to be careful not to spray paint the edge of your workbench, which I managed to do. So just light covers. This paint actually did take like a couple weeks to dry, like 2. I think that was because there was oils on the plastic that I should have cleaned off. So after that, I take this is Case International paint. You just need silver paint, and I sprayed a light coat on, not to cover it, but just a light coat to kind of give it that tin kind of look, aluminum look on the top, as that's kind of like whitish, but it's not creamish. So I think that turned out okay. If you really just want to make this nice, this is all you need to do, is just put some paint over it. There's other steps I take afterwards. So here you can see that there are the 2 halves of the silo, and then we did do the top. It's pretty silver, but not 100%. And I spray painted that, and then that piece is the same as the 2 halves. So you can see there it went on real nice, smooth. That's why you want to get it in the fire, so the particles condense and go on smoother, not like blobs. And there's a color difference there, not much, but makes it look a little better. So I think I'll take this apart and put it back together a couple times, but what you just want to do is put it back together just to see how it looks. And I really like the contrast, and you can see that since there's not as much texture on that other tube, that it's still a little bit of a different color, but it doesn't show up as much in the video. So what I did here was I got some black paint that was water-based and put water in it. I honestly wouldn't recommend this. This is kind of trial and error. It's the first time I did this. I still made a video on it. And what I did was I get a paintbrush, and I just brushed it on. Now, I was going for a very weathered look. And if you didn't want this, you can skip ahead to where I put a ladder cage on, but you won't need any of this. And I needed a little extra brown in there. It's kind of heavy black. But I just figured, hey, the farmer would just not be doing much with the silo for a while. So you can see it kind of gives that result. And I'm just going to skip ahead here. You'll see more of this at the end. So what I found worked a lot better for me is if I'd take an X-Acto knife, and you get these weathering powders, or it's just some sort of powder. I put a little, this is basically paint thinner, in. Just a drop is all you need. And stir it up, make it kind of watery, and then I take the same paintbrush I found this works better, and you can see you don't want to get heavy, and I did with the paint, and I ended up fixing it a bit, but I didn't recover it like I said because the paint took so long. So you just brush that on. The main idea is just to see the color kind of raining down, like the moss and the grum. If you see an old silo that's been out for a long time, you'll see that. So you can just kind of see that effect going around there. Almost painting it was almost pointless. I really like the way it turned out down at the bottom. I threw some stuff on. Kind of thinking about where the tractor might sit when they're filling it up, things like that. The next thing I did was I took a small paintbrush and painted the ladder silver. Sometimes they'd be more black from the grum, like I said. Just go across and do all the little pieces, and that's about it for the ladder part of it. I then put a drill bit into my pin vise that came with it. I think a 3/32 about is what it took, and I take that infill tube I made a prior hole with like a poker, and then I just drilled that out, as you can see here. Next thing I did was I grabbed my pin vise again, and I found a drill bit. This specific one came with a bunch, and I found a drill bit that fit the size of a small wire I had, and it's about the size of a straight pin, which would be, I think, 1/32. Every other step on either side I then drilled a bunch of holes, as you can see here. And I left this whole clip in just so you can see how long it will take. And it doesn't take very long, but it takes a bit of time, so it's probably one of the longer parts of the project, and you have a little bit of hairs on the end that you just want to trim up afterwards. So I did this the whole way down. At the end I didn't for a couple steps, like at the bottom. Most silos, they don't go the whole way to the ground. Obviously you need to stand up in it, and you want some time for it to climb up. You don't need it the whole way. So there you can see it just kind of pops in at the end. And I think you get the point, so let's skip ahead at the rest of this. There you go, you get a bunch of holes. You can see once there I did mess up by not skipping this step. I don't know where that was now, but the whole way to about the part where the wires that would hold it together get a little closer together. This wire, I don't really know where it came from. I just found it laying around. I have some brass wire. It's about, like I said, 1/32. I then measured out, starting with the 8, it would be 1 2/8 inches. I cut each of these just with a pair of pliers with the wire cutter. Then I have this larger X-Acto knife. It fits pretty good, and what I did after I found a bunch of my cut wires, I think it was about 11 or 13, somewhere around there, I just bent it around to make a U shape. Now this turned out to be just about perfect, and you can see there, and I made a bunch of other ones after that. So we'll just skip through this. So eventually gather up quite a few. There's 1, 2, 3, I don't know. You can count if you want. But you need a bunch. I think it was about 11 range. You can see there, it's just kind of cool. We made something. So then we stick those in the holes we drilled. And if you haven't seen a real silo, I'm kind of expecting you have, but you can always search one up on the internet. It seems like something pretty basic that people know, so I stick those in, and then you can see here that my painting job on the ladder wasn't very good. What I do on the back side of the wires are that I just bend them down, and this is a very bad shot. What I'm trying to focus the camera on is a wire that is brass colored, and we need silver. This is all I had, so I went the hard way out, and I tried to paint it. But first you can see here that that's the lengthy one. So here is the brass wire. You're just gonna have to eyeball how long it is, and it's hard to get it straight if it comes from a reel. But I just cut a little extra off, And what I did then is take some silver paint to it and paint that silver, because I was using my resources, and that's kind of what the hobby's about, just using what you have, in my opinion. So what I do here is, if you pay attention, I take the end and make a little hook, like it comes back on itself. Just basically a hook, and I put that in the top. And originally tried to solder, and you're gonna see what happened when I do that. But so what I ended up doing is just weaving it through, and I figured out the solder issue eventually. I didn't really use it just because I didn't want to risk what did happen, which I'll show you. And this one did get a little short, so what you're better off doing is making it longer and then trimming it once you weave it through. I guess I was too lazy to do that, I don't know. Not very good for a tutorial. So then you get those in, and sometimes you need to put tweezers or pliers in just to pull it out. That's just showing how hard it kind of is. But it will just pull the whole way through. So I think it gives a pretty realistic look overall. There you can see where the weathering didn't work. It didn't hit. So it's a pretty neat ladder cage. It's really easy, cheap, simple, nice project. Makes it look really good. And here I'm going to be honest with you. Do you see that hole? Well, when I mentioned soldering, I was having some trouble. I'm not really experienced, and that's why you haven't seen me doing soldering. And, well, it kind of melted a hole without my noticing, and that made me really frustrated, but that's what happens sometimes. So what I'm going to do here is just put everything back together, and we're going to come back to that former issue. So what I did here is I take some aluminum foil, I cut it to a small size. This is replicating just a piece of metal, tin. I fold it up, everything nice, make it all fancy there, and make sure it's smooth. After folding it quite a few times, then I trim the edges off, and then I end up crinkling it just to make it look a little nicer. And what I do is just tape it in. At that point I was just kind of done, but I think it kind of worked. If I wouldn't have done that, I would have taken some putty, put it in there, and then painted it like cement, because real silos actually do that. And with the top one, it doesn't look too bad. I tried weathering it, but it didn't really turn out too nice. So that's that. Not too bad. So thanks for watching. I'm Sam from Sambo Stomp Moves. You just saw me detail a silo. I hope you enjoyed the video. Here's just some shots of how it turned out. If you want to watch it, feel free. If not, you don't have to. I'm just going to turn on some music here. So thanks for stopping by. Enjoy.